All right, let's talk about Chicago Bears first round pick Darnell Wright, who was a controversial selection when it happened. He was projected to go 19th overall, but he ended up going 10th overall, so already a bit of a reach there, although nothing crazy, a 9-spot reach, but not completely insignificant. If you look at his PFF grades, they're quite frankly just they're good for college. Really, only 1 year is really, I would say, good for college, and even that year wasn't great with the 71.0 grade. Usually, kind of the minimum you would want for spending a valuable draft pick on a guy would be an 80 grade. Now, one thing worth noting, though, is the difference between run blocking grade and pass blocking grade, as his pass blocking grade was legitimately good. It was 80. That's something that you feel solid about. Run blocking needs some work. And again, just to reiterate, this stuff does translate well to the next level. Guys who have good PFF grades at the college level do end up having good PFF grades at the NFL level. If you don't value PFF grades at all, well then, fair enough. But, if you do, this is something that would be a concerning page. However, we're not here to talk about why he was drafted or anything like that. We're here to talk about how he performed in this preseason game. And, again, part of that is how you were prior to the preseason, because I always view this as I made an evaluation on a player, but now there's more information to come out about that player, and I'm sort of just seeing that more information and adding it to the pile of information we already have. So let's talk about the new information that we had. I actually thought he showed some really nice things in this preseason game. Like something like this is going to be, so he's playing right tackle right here, going up one-on-one against, the defensive lineman there for Tennessee, and there's a little bit of help. The tight end is going to slow down that defensive lineman. So, okay, that's how this works for Wright. Look, as you see, that, little chip there certainly does help. And you see Wright get his right hand kind of on that, looks like the shoulder area. And I think that there's definitely some flashes of where things went wrong in college, but also where he can potentially improve and why these things, why he was still drafted so high despite not necessarily having elite production. What the defensive lineman's going to do, I'm going to explain it before I show it, just so you know what you're looking at. He's going to get his left arm and kind of grab Wright's right hand right there. Watch how he grabs it, and because of that, was able to start to drive Wright back. But again, Fields got rid of the football quickly enough that it didn't really matter there. So, it was a good block. He was able to successfully do it. If he does that every time, then you're good. I think some people could look at that and say, well, there's a little bit of technique issues. You would like to see him not get his hands completely, knocked off like that. At the end of the day, hands do really matter at this level. In college, you can more so get by on just, athleticism and just strength. But, when everyone is athletic and strong, you have to have the technique down. The difference, though, is that he can improve on that stuff, right? He can improve on his hands. You can't typically get too much stronger at this point, although maybe you can get a little stronger. Can't typically get too much more athletic, although you can get a little more athletic. But you can improve significantly with his hands, and that might be a way he has to do it. Because on these other plays, you certainly saw why people really liked him. This one was definitely, I would say, a very good play. He's going to, swing out towards the offense's right as the play is going to go in that direction. It's going to be a pitch to the running back on that side of the field. So that's what happens. Ball gets pitched there, Wright gets out, and he gets out really quickly. Does a very good job, I think, of moving in that direction to where he can be in position to block a defensive back. And, this defensive back, who also is a very short defensive back at that, it is Armani Marsh, the number 25 there, who's currently listed at 5'10", 180 pounds, and kind of doesn't even look like he is that big. But again, maybe that's just because he's next to some linemen. But either way, smaller defensive back. Okay, should be easy, right? Easy way to win this, block. But it's not always that simple because you are in open space and, going up against a guy who, since he's smaller, should be able to use his feet better. You have to still make sure you get in position to make this block. But Wright is able to make sure that he, hits that, and Marsh wasn't able to get around him. So I would say that's a very good play there by Darnell Wright to be able to do that kind of thing. There were some plays that I didn't think fully were promising from Wright, and I definitely see why, why some people could take away this game and not be overly thrilled with his performance. Something like this, where it's going to be, a one-on-one block on, the player who you see on the screen, who he's supposed to block. right when this play begins, you see how he, I don't know what exactly he's attempting to do right there, to be honest. Maybe, every now and then the O-line experts can help me out, so feel free to let me know exactly in the comments below what you think is the plan here. But this is not something you typically want to see. Again, it's a running play to the other side of the screen. So yeah, go ahead, attack. But it kind of just looks a little sloppy here for Wright, and I don't really know what he's accomplishing with this. I don't know if he just got himself out of position quickly or what. It's just another scenario of him really not getting his hands into position that, I would assume he wants to get his hands in to be able to make this block. Because of that, the edge rusher gets around him. Wright ends up getting, thrown to the ground right there, which is obviously not ideal. So, okay, that was a miss for sure. It was a miss. But again, not the biggest disaster in the world either, because at the end of the day, had no impact on the play. There are sometimes some examples of like, hey, it's not the cleanest block, but if you make the block, you make the block, and you could argue that this is one of those. I think the concern is eventually these could turn into not making the block type plays. But like stuff like this, I really do see potential in Wright. Like to me, he just looks very raw. That's really how I see him. And this is going to be an example of him looking, good when he gets the hand placement he wants, I would say. So it's going to be he's the right tackle, so his right hand, that's the important one. Watch how when this play begins, he still keeps his hands a little bit low for my liking, but once he gets that right hand kind of on the, it looks like almost the chest area of the edge rusher who he's going up against, he's really good in these spots. Watch him essentially just stop that edge rusher in his tracks to where, that was just never going to be, a play that would have a negative impact. Really good stuff there by Darnell Wright, and this is the kind of stuff that, when you talk about the upside of Darnell Wright, this is what you talk about. Again, it's someone who barely played any snaps in one preseason game, all right? Like, we don't know that much about him. We just don't. We're still going to need a lot more, of a sample size before we can really say too much about him. But so far, I would say that this was a performance that I would say I would think there were positives to take away from it. Because I think the reality is, okay, does he look raw? Yeah, he looks raw, but we knew he was going to look raw. He only played 7 snaps, so we can't say that much about it. But what we did learn in that small sample size was that when he does get in position, he can make those plays. And kind of what we talked about earlier, the pass blocking was just actively good. There were some issues in run blocking. There's going to be some issues in run blocking. But as long as he can get the technique down, I think he can be an effective player. We'll just see, if he gets that down, or maybe it's a matter of when he gets that down, is kind of how I view him. But let me know what you think, especially, again, like I said, O-line experts are always very fascinating to talk to because they can, get into a little bit more detail than I am aware of. And so, definitely feel free to let me know in the comments below, or just check out the comments, or, let me know if you're not an O-line expert, what you think on all this. Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.